This idea started with a reporter who was looking at data, looking at infant mortality data, and he noticed the infant mortality rate in his neighborhood was virtually zero, and a half mile or less away across the river in a poor neighborhood, it was a third world level.
Unfortunately, Milwaukee has suffered for many decades now with high rates of infant mortality in the community, and particularly the black-white gap. You know, African Americans tend to have infant mortality rates that are 3 times that of whites in Milwaukee.
We can't, as a community, continue to sit back while babies are not making it to their first birthday.
So we looked at those numbers and we said, you know, this is unacceptable. We have to do something about this. We can't stand by. We can't let this continue. We have to do something about it. So the next day, we put together a project team.
We realized very quickly that the message that we wanted to present was not just a message to policymakers, but also information to people whose children were dying. So we needed to reach a community that we were normally fairly alienated from.
So we sat down and had a good brainstorming session on how to reach these folks. Where we didn't have a channel and means to get them, we found one and partnered to make it happen. We connected with African American newspapers and radio stations and shared our content with them. We partnered with the city so they would show our videos on safe sleep and breastfeeding in their health clinics and on their cable channel. We created lesson plans to take the message to high school classrooms. We created an online database so readers could get involved with the issue and make a difference. We did a reprint of all of our content and distributed it in the community. If there was a way to reach at-risk parents, we were determined to find it.
That's what made this project really unique, because it was one thing just telling it to our standard readers, but what made it very different is that, you know, we took it to the radio, black radio, we took it to African American newspapers.
Well, the community journal is specializes in this black Hispanic market, so we have a pulse of the community. We don't have the resources to necessarily develop a story and do the investigation that the Journal Sentinel did. So when you offered us this opportunity, we were gung-ho, and it turned out to be an excellent project.
My personal favorite strategy were the lesson plans that were made available to Milwaukee Public Schools so that youth and young people can get involved in this situation, learning more about it, and also being empowered to do something about it.
I went out in the community and talked about it. I hosted several events that focused on this in the community. So I was really surprised at the turnout, which was good because people wanted that information. It reached an audience that we were not really tapping in the newspaper, and I think that really touched some lives.
One of the hospital groups in the city actually paid for a full reprint of the entire series so that they could distribute it and get it in a wider audience.
Trying to get a community dialogue around this issue requires a very, very delicate balance of how you send that message, but it requires a community effort.
We all have a role to play and a part to play in solving the situation, and I think that's what's so wonderful about what the Journal Sentinel has done, which is to acknowledge that it takes all players in the community. We all can play a role in really making these numbers go down.
I think what was most remarkable is to have a media outlet, to have a newspaper actually make this issue of infant mortality an agenda, and to have it reach the editorial page and to reach large segments of a circulating population of readers was tremendous. It had never been done before, and it began to bring this issue out into the light. It began to cleanse what I consider to be some of the dirty linen that impacts this issue.
The thing a newspaper does, or a newsroom does, a great news organization does, is shine a light on problem areas that won't otherwise be dealt with. This isn't the type of journalism that makes money or sells newspapers, obviously, but it's the most important journalism we do. It's improving the quality of life in our community, the community we serve. We don't expect to lower the city's infant mortality rate in 6 months or a year. This is going to take years, this is going to take a decade, and we're going to be behind it the whole way.